Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, sorry for the delay. I just had a looks like just a little bit of a computer issue, so thank you for bearing with me on these computer issues. I do appreciate it. And welcome to the channel, guys. I know that this is kind of a I don't usually stream that much very often, but I did want to stream today because I thought it was important to talk about what went on tonight in terms of really the I would say give me 1 second, guys. All right, perfect. We're back. We're back. Yeah, so thank you once again, everybody, for joining me here on The Charge. Of course, this is your boy Bernie here, bringing you the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. And again, guys, emphasis on the basketball opinions today. We're just going to talk a little bit about the Milwaukee Bucks and the Phoenix Suns and what went on tonight. This was probably a very interesting game, I would say, just with the fact of, everything that went on today. We talked really about, the last couple games were about CP3 and Devin Booker, but today was most importantly about Giannis Antetokounmpo. Before we get started on talking about Giannis and all these other things that we have to talk about for the NBA Finals, guys, we do have a merch store, and we're going to go live real quick on the live scene. We have a merch store for you, so you guys are interested in buying merch. We, of course, have t-shirts, mugs, sweatshirts, and, of course, a new hat that you guys can buy as well. Limited edition hat, only available for 28 days, so if you guys are interested in that, it is there for you to purchase as well. And, of course, we also have a donation link if you guys are interested in donating to the channel. We talked about this. It's kind of like not optional, or sorry, it's optional. You don't have to necessarily buy it, but it's there for you guys if you guys are interested in donating to the channel. And guys that mess with me heavy, this is what I will hopefully be there for you guys if you guys are interested in donating to the channel. But nevertheless, we're here to talk about the NBA Finals, and really, I would say it got a whole lot interesting now that the Bucks have finally adjusted, really after getting themselves beat after these last two games. Of course, everybody, when it goes to the 2-0, every team is basically, it's in a must-win situation. And so when we look at everything in that light, in that scenario, it was definitely a must-win tonight, and the Bucks responded very well. One thing you can say about the Milwaukee Bucks is that they are, like I said, one of the most inconsistent teams in the world. I thought Drew Holiday actually played really well in this game, giving you 21 points, but most importantly, it was giving you 5 of 10 from the 3-point line, which is something that you especially need, especially with the way that the Suns like to play with their shooting style. It was definitely a win for the Milwaukee Bucks, shooting 38% compared to 29% in the game. When we look at guys like Giannis, we can talk about the 41 points, but I thought Giannis's points were smart points. I thought he really did a great job of being a low post guy today, kind of playing a traditional center, being the 5 for the Milwaukee Bucks at times when they took Brook Lopez out. And I thought that was a great decision by Budenholzer. I don't really give that guy a lot of credit because I do think that he messes up a lot of times. But what I will say is that he did a better job today than I think a lot of people would give him credit for. My biggest takeaway from today's game is, of course, Kind of this whole scenario that we got with Devin Booker. I understand a lot of people want to crown him as the next Kobe Bryant, want to crown him as like the next it thing in terms of being like better than Kobe or at par with Kobe Bryant, but let's slow the brakes down a little bit. I think my boy Pete was right on that. Look, Devin Booker is a tremendous player, but there's a reason why, you know, the Phoenix Suns haven't been to the playoffs without Chris Paul. And it's because Chris Paul allows them to play a certain style and just allows Booker to do his thing, right? You know, Booker is his main thing is basically to score. And today he just did not do a good job of scoring the rock. 3 of 14, 1 of 7 from the field, 3-point wise, and that's just not going to cut it. 6 rebounds, 2 assists, just not going to cut it. And of course, Ayton was in foul trouble today. I thought Ayton had a great start to the game, but then due to foul trouble, basically got the rhythm knocked out of him. And so that was the reason why Ayton really didn't do too much in this game. Even though he gave you 18 points, just didn't really give you the Ayton that we know and love in terms of helping the Suns kind of battle out with a guy like Giannis. Ayton was responsible for Giannis at times, and you can see that it was kind of a mismatch with the way that Giannis is just a little bit quicker than him laterally, and that's the reason why I think Ayton struggled today on the floor defensively. Again, still a great player, still an amazing player, but just struggled today. And again, I don't really blame him as a young player, but it is kind of one of the reasons why they struggled today. And of course, I thought they did a great job on the role players. The only person that really gave them any trouble really was Jay Crowder, 6 of 7, 18 points, maybe even Cameron Johnson, who posterized PJ Tucker. I thought it was a charge at the beginning, but I looked at the replay and man, it was a blessing. It was a blessing of a lifetime. But nevertheless, I thought Cameron Payne also didn't really give you too much either, going 3 of 10, 0 of 2 from three-point land, and just not really doing too much on the defensive end. But on the opposite side, you could say that they did a really good job. You can look at a guy like Brook Lopez, only playing 21 minutes, and you can see why he's only playing 21 minutes. And you can see the, really going to Bobby Portis a lot more. And this is the move that I thought they really should have went with a long time ago, because you can see the way that Bobby Portis plays. And that's the way that you need the Phoenix Suns to really operate and really do their thing. I just feel like at times you looked at it, you saw, and hang on one second. Sorry, I'm just seeing if somebody wants to join us on the chat just to talk. But like I said, Connaughton played 30 minutes. Again, I'm not so sold on Connaughton as someone that you should have in the game. But what I will say he did today was just kind of stretch the floor a little bit more and gave you 8 points. He's not going to do too much offensively, but what he will do for you is just kind of be that guy that gives you a couple minutes here and there. Again, do I want him as a sixth man? I don't think he should be playing as many minutes as I think the coach would like him to play, but you can see why, I'm here on YouTube and Budenholzer is coaching in the NBA Finals. But what I will say is that Connaughton, is a liability at times, and I thought today he just played really well. And like I talked about before, I think Drew Holiday really stepped up tonight. Chris Middleton took a back seat as kind of the third option in today's game. And you had Drew Holiday kind of be the number 2 guy when you look at stats, when you look at everything. And that's kind of my big takeaway from this, is that you really saw Bobby Portis play a lot more, and that's what you really. I feel like that's what you really need as the Milwaukee Bucks. I feel like his energy and his hustle. Yeah, he may not be field goal efficient as you would like him to be, but the energy, the hustle, the fact that he gave you 8 rebounds is a lot more than anybody else besides Giannis. I mean, that's got to say something to the credit of Bobby Portis, and he really should be playing a lot more, and I'm glad that he got 18 minutes today. Anytime I see Bobby Portis being a positive impact on the Bucks, it's more than likely going to be a win for the Milwaukee Bucks. And that just goes to show you, like, there's some guys on this team that you really should limit their minutes to. I know that Budenholzer likes a very small rotation with one guy, basically a six-man, playing the 30-minute role. Meanwhile, you have other guys kind of play that 18 to 15 minutes. And you kind of saw that tonight with guys like Jeff Teague, Bobby Portis, and Connaughton playing the most off the bench. Forbes, again, Forbes is a little shaky at times. Forbes can be either hit or miss for me. And so you can see what he was able to do out there on the court. And I'm glad that he was able to kind of basically give you something there. But we'll see what happens. Give me 1 second, everybody. Okay. But nevertheless, I was just a little. I would say this is the way the Bucks should be winning games. Meanwhile, on the opposite end, I just think tonight was more so a game where a lot of guys for the Suns were just off rhythm. Booker didn't really give you his usual 30 points, or even giving you the amount of points that you would think that he would give you. In terms of just being an offensive threat, he just wasn't tonight. Meanwhile, you had Chris Paul just giving you 19. Giving you basically what I think Chris Paul will be giving you for the rest of the series. Not saying that he can't go off for 30 points, but I just think that he doesn't. I just feel like he doesn't need to go off for 30 for the Bucks for the Suns to win. What they really need to do is have Booker go off and have Ayton kind of be the second guy, and Chris Paul really feeding them and giving them easy assists. Chris Paul picking and choosing his spots in the offense and where he likes to shoot from. I think that's probably I think that's the way that they should do it. But again, we'll see what happens in this kind of next progression of the offseason. Or not offseason, but this NBA game. And again, we'll see what happens. And again, I'm going to get somebody on to join me tonight for a little bit. We're just going to talk. Let's see here. See if he'll join. This a little bit.
Hello.
What's up, Tyrese? How you doing, man?
What's going on, man?
Not much. I just kind of went on a little soliloquy a little bit, just talking about the NBA Finals. Did you watch today's game?
Yeah, I watched the whole game. Well, besides the fourth quarter, because it was a blowout.
It was a blowout. What did you What did you make of the game plan for the Bucks?
I made that they played all well together. It was more ball movement. It wasn't so much hesitation, and they just got back on defense. They were real scrappy tonight. You can just see the difference of sense of urgency from everybody, not just from Antetokounmpo, from Chris Middleton to Bobby Portis. It was just a real sense of urgency this game. You can really tell the difference from game 1 and 2.
Yeah, and I thought they did a really good job of getting Giannis in spots on the court where he is a little bit more effective. I felt like there was more post-ups for him than they normally are, where I feel like they have more so Giannis kind of taking the lane and, trying to drive in there. I mean, he still did that, but I felt like him being on the low block was a little bit of a surprise to the Suns, offensively, I should say. The way that he was just able to post down, kind of spin around guys, and just kind of finish. And I just feel like that's the way I think Giannis has to play in this series. And you kind of saw the way that he played tonight in the low post. The reason why guys like Brook Lopez didn't really play that many minutes. He played 21 minutes tonight compared to Giannis's 38. And you can see that Giannis didn't take the threes that were kind of given to him. He maybe took one that was questionable. But I thought they did a really good job of posting him up, getting him the touches down low. And, Middleton, or sorry, not Middleton, but Holiday showed up tonight as well. And then on the other side, I would say the Suns, I think Devin Booker kind of struggled a bit. Not kind of as an understatement. He struggled a lot. And so, what did you make of the Suns' performance tonight? Do you think it was an aberration, or do you think that this is kind of something that may rear its ugly head in Game 4?
Well, first of all, I think the Suns, I mean, they did what they were supposed to do. I just think Booker didn't have a lot of shots falling down. I think he was just trying to do too much coming off, like starting out of the gate. And I think
Hmm.
he never got settled in. And I think that's just what killed everybody. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Cam Johnson, he did his thing. Chris Paul, he did okay, but Booker, he only had 10 points. He did so poorly. He wasn't even trying to play in the fourth quarter. That's a big red flag to me when your superstar is not playing in the fourth quarter at all. And he's like the head of the snake because if you take Booker out the game as you've seen today, they're
Yeah.
there's no identity.
Yeah, definitely.
So
I mean,
yeah, I just think they look real rattled today. I mean, Aiton did his thing, but I mean, they didn't have Cameron Payne. He didn't really do anything. So there wasn't really no big help off the bench like that. I
yeah, I
mean, what
thought
did they get blown out by? What, 25 points?
they got blown out by 20 at the end of it. And yeah, I think you're right. There wasn't really too much from Cameron Payne tonight. Only gave you 7 points, but was really the 3 of 10 shooting was the biggest red flag for me. And I think the bigger red flag was really the foul trouble that Aiton was had at the beginning. I really thought that getting him out of his rhythm, especially how early he was successful in Game 3. The
Hmm.
fact they just picked up those fouls early, then ended up with 5 at the end, really took the I would say the Suns out of rhythm. I mean, he didn't really play that third quarter very much, if at all. I don't even think I remember seeing Aiton in the third quarter until he was there in the fourth. And I think the biggest question that I have coming out of this game is: do you think it was a smart idea to take Devin Booker out early in Game 3?
Uh, do I think it was a smart idea to take Devin Booker out the game in game three? Honestly, no, just because you're on the road. I mean, why would you take your superstar out of the game early when you have a chance to go up 3-0 and you take him out of the game? And that's messing with his flow. You know what I'm saying? He's on the
Yeah.
road. I mean, this is going to be a real test to Monty Williams and his staff and the whole group how what he has now because I mean, they've been playing teams that were decompleted. Like they haven't played a team like fully healthy. You know what I'm saying? Like
Hmm.
they haven't played a team like that. The Bucks are healthy. Like there's no I mean besides the what's his name? DiVincenzo, whatever his name is, but
Hmm.
he's the only guy. I mean, for the most part, they're 100% healthy. They faced adversity with the Brooklyn Nets down 0-2. That helped them a lot. I mean, they have a blueprint of adversity, and that's big, especially in the finals. And they did that against one of the most talented teams in the NBA. So their confidence is through the roof. They're like, oh yeah, they're good. Yeah, they have Chris Paul, but guess what? We were down 0-2 against James Harden, Kevin Durant, and Kyrie Irving, and we came back and beat them. So, I mean, they're playing with how they're playing real confident right now, especially in Game 3. It looked real good,
Hmm. Yeah,
and I got them winning the series in 6.
you got the Bucks winning in 6 or the Suns?
Yeah, I got them winning in 6. I placed a bet. I honestly think I knew the Suns were going to take care of business at home. That was anticipated, but they haven't faced no real adversity. They never been down 0-2. They never rallied back. They never had their main star out. I mean, they won 2 games against the Hawks in their building and at home. You know what I'm saying? And that's big because, when you don't when you're in the finals and you're going through adversity and you haven't went
Hmm.
through no adversity, like it's really tough to rally back. And they've done it. So I like the Bucks, man. I think it's only up from here, and I think the Suns. I don't know, man. I mean, it's still early. I mean, next game's gonna tell a lot, but I think the Bucks got him, man. I think the Bucks got him. Like, I just think they know how to beat this team now.
Yeah, I would say that this Bucks team is very. I would say it's very interesting because of the way that it's constructed. Like you said, you got Middleton and Giannis. They seems like they take turns every now and then to like who's going to be the number one guy on the team. Uh, and so
Hmm.
I'm curious to see who's going to step up in game 4. If it's going to be Giannis again, giving you 40 points, going to the low block and having him just kind of post people up and just kind of
I mean,
dominate
they
there.
can't stop him. I mean, who's gonna stop him? There's nobody that could stop him. I mean, if they want to load the paint up the box, he's just gonna kick it out to Chris, and Chris is a bucket. So, or even Drew Holiday. Like, there's two guys right there who can make jumpers, can make threes. Like, there's two. They can't put their full attention on Giannis. Like, he's unstoppable. Back to back 40-point games, 41 double doubles, pretty much. Like he they can't stop this team, man. Like, Drew Holiday had a bad game one and a game two, but I just think the Bucks, man, they're really talented, and I think they're gonna beat them in six. I know it sounds crazy, but I think the Suns are going to unravel now. I think they just exceeded expectations way too much. You know what I'm saying? Like, they were that one team that just nobody's seen this coming. You know what I'm saying? But this team is just like, come on, the Brooklyn Nets can knock them off. And they had Kevin Durant, James Harden. I mean, James Harden was injured, but they still had Kyrie Irving. Like, everybody was saying they were going to sweep them. And they came back. So it's like, you know, I'm real. I like the Bucks, man.
Yeah, I mean, I could definitely see why the Bucks are kind of, why people would kind of lean towards the Bucks. I still think at the end of the day, the Suns are going to win. I just think there's too much talent on this team. With Payne, I think Payne and Johnson are going to play a lot better. And I think Booker has to come back and give you a virtuoso performance. Kind of going back to the Booker topic, I think a lot of people looked at him. I know, people like Stephen A. and maybe Skip Bayless at times. They kind of compare Booker to Kobe Bryant. Do you think that was Do you think that was premature by people to say?
Stephen A. He just tries to get the highlight reels, the headlines, and everything. That like how he says blasphemous. That was blasphemy. Because, like, how are you gonna say that the guy's never won nothing? If you're gonna say Kobe Bryant, you could damn near say Stephen Curry, or you know what I'm saying? Like, somebody who's actually won, who's been in the trenches, who's been in the spotlight. Like, Devin Booker's a good player. He's a great player, but you know what I'm saying? Kobe Bryant's not giving you no damn 10 points in the finals.
Yeah.
And he's not sitting in the fourth quarter, down 15 at that time.
No,
he's not sitting down. That's not Kobe. That wouldn't be Kobe Bryant. Yeah. That was premature.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think me and my boy Pete, when he was on a couple days ago, when we were talking about our mock draft, we just kind of were talking about NBA Finals and stuff like that, and kind of mentioning, really the debate on that show was more so about, like, was the NBA Finals boring? I think that was kind of the big question mark for a lot of people. And we talked about Booker and the Kobe Bryant comparisons. And I think what really, at the Pete was this, he agreed with you in the sense that, like, it's way too early to be crowning this guy the next Kobe Bryant. This guy hasn't really won anything. But I think the most importantly, I mean, you could see, like, the difference between Devin Booker and Kobe Bryant is that when, Devin Booker hasn't really made this Suns team a playoff team until Chris Paul arrived.
Exactly.
And Chris Paul, with his leadership, his tenacity, was able to honestly get the best out of Ayton. There was question marks about Ayton coming into the season. And that's one of the things that you looked at, kind of coming into this thing. And that's the reason why I think a lot of people were hesitant on saying, I think that's the reason why a lot of people were, I think people are quick to forget, like, what happened, like, the 2 year, or the couple years before Booker was there.
Chris Paul got there. Exactly. They were not. Nope. Listen, he was always a good player. He could put up 30, 40 points. But let's just be real. Jason, if we want to talk about Kobe Bryant comparison, shit, we could say Jason Tatum. I mean, the guys, he went to a game 7 against LeBron James his rookie year. Nobody anticipated it, and he has a way better resume than Booker does right now. And he came in the league 2 years before Booker? I mean, before Tatum. So, like, that's just the storyline. Kobe Bryant was real close to Booker. He mentored him, but if you want to say who's going to be the next Kobe Bryant, I might sound biased, but it looks like Jason Tatum to me. That guy's a bucket, and he plays just like him. The footwork, he has the complete package.
Mm.
The only, and Booker, he doesn't drive to the basket that much, like as far as, left-handed, jelly. He's not doing all that like how Kobe Bryant would do. He's more of a jump shooter.
Yeah.
That's it. He doesn't play defense. I mean, he plays defense okay sometimes when it counts, but he doesn't play defense.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Kobe Bryant, when it was crunch time, he's playing defense on you. He wants to go at LeBron James if they probably ever play. He wants to go at Tim Duncan if they, you know what I'm saying, if they want him to switch. He's not falling away from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel that, and I think that's kind of the way that I think people are just kind of living in the prisoner of the moment. I think a lot of people just look at this. No, it's not Logan, Gabby. But it's one of those things you look at it and you can see. Like I said, I think people are just way too premature of crowning like the next it guy, right? We talked about this with LeBron James as like, is Giannis or Luka Doncic the next LeBron James? And I think that we still don't know who that next person is. And it's the same thing as like, who's the next Kobe Bryant? Like, I think a lot of people want to compare people to other people, but I just think that they're their own dudes. Like, Devin Booker is a really good shooter.
Exactly.
And a good scorer, but he's not anywhere near the level of Kobe Bryant. I just think that's what people need to kind of like. I think people just need to slow down and let's kind of let their careers play out instead of trying to put everybody like in a box.
But that's also the media. You know what I'm saying? They need storylines. You know what I'm saying? They made it deep. They knew Kobe was real close to him, and I mean, he's going to be a good player. Don't get me wrong. He's going to be a franchise player, all world, but box office, whatever you want to call it. But, he's not going to be no Kobe Bryant. Let's just be real. Like, come on. Are you serious? Like, he's a good player, man. Don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I just don't see Kobe Bryant and Devin Booker. I just don't see it. I don't see what other people see. Like, I see more of a Jason Tatum you know what I'm saying, comparison to Kobe Bryant than Devin Booker. That's who I see. I mean, the same turnaround, the same footwork, up and under, left-handed. Booker's not doing that. He's a jump shooter.
Yeah.
He relies on his shot completely.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, I mean, I definitely think that's kind of the way that a lot of people are starting to kind of realize that now, and I think you talked about it, head on, where it was like a lot of people are like, well, Kobe would have never sat out in that fourth quarter, and
nope.
I do agree to a sense where it's like you do need, I feel like you do need to have, shoot, I just lost my train of thought. I was about to go into soliloquy.
You're all good. You're good.
Shoot. Where was I going to go with that? But anyway, just kind of go. Let's just talk. That's what I was going to talk about. The resting, like that. That's the reason why I don't.
Yeah, the resting. Yeah.
I don't understand why a lot of people are okay with Booker resting. Like, I just think having him out there on the court would be a lot better than him off the court, or him just resting on the bench and kind of just chilling. If there's anybody that was going to bring you back to bring this game to a closer range, it would be Devin Booker shooting the ball instead of having guys like Cameron Payne, Cam Johnson kind of run the floor, giving you basically a combined
garbage minutes,
garbage time. You have Craig out there as well. You have the lasagna merchant himself, Frank the Tank Kaminsky, out there. And it's just kind of not really giving you too much.
Yeah, it's really not, and that's a major red flag to me because Milwaukee's a tough place to play, man. Those fans are fired up, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh yeah, I would have let them stay in. I don't care if I was getting blown out by 30. You need to get a rhythm. The next game isn't until Wednesday. That's what, 3 days from now?
Yeah.
So
it's huge.
Hey man, like that's why I think the Bucks got this, man. I think it when they tie this series on Wednesday, it's really gonna fall down for the Suns, I think. Because you got to remember, they're a young team, and just because Chris Paul's a veteran, he's never been here. He's never really faced no adversity like the Bucks did
Hmm.
0-2 without Giannis
Yeah.
and rally back. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to
Yeah. Yeah.
face adversity when you get to these high levels because it's going to be some adversity. And if you haven't been through no adversity, it's going to be real tough, you know?
Yeah, I think that that's kind of my thing. They really definitely should be out there getting rhythm, getting shots up. Like even if it's like, okay, we're gonna pull you off at like the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter. I would much rather have Booker in there for the long time. Try to get a rhythm going. Try to see if he can't get something going. Because I mean, that's the thing that's different about today's NBA than even just like 10 years ago when we were watching the Boston Celtics Lakers rivalry with Kobe and Paul Pierce, KG, and all of them. Like they were actually
Mhm.
in there, whether it was a blowout or not, they were in the game for the most majority of the game. And then once it got to a certain point in the fourth quarter, they got taken out. And so I think that's
Right.
kind of where I'm like, I understand today's era, that I don't,
The rest part.
yeah, like I understand it to an extent, but like it's the NBA Finals. Like there's no more resting.
Yeah.
There's no more resting in the and for the NBA Finals. Like this is the final game. This isn't like
All the marbles.
yeah, not saying that like game three is the most important game in the world, but
Oh,
what I
no.
will say is
But it's
that
the key game.
it's a key game and it's really a game that really solidifies the away team, especially if you are, the team with the winning record or like the highest record between the two. Like that's a game where you kind of, imprint or implant like what you want to install or what you want to impose your will to the fans and other things like that. And I just felt like it was a little bit of a disappointment seeing that.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
completely. And you want to know another thing that I noticed? I don't know if you noticed it either. Have they haven't been playing Cam Johnson that much, huh?
I mean, he
It
played
seems
30 minutes tonight.
it seems like he's not getting the. It seems like I don't know, man. Like before this, like late in the season, he was getting a lot more touches. It seemed like they're relying on Booker way too much. And like Cam Johnson's a really good player. I think they should try to run a little bit more offense through him. If they can run a little bit more through him, I think they can be solid. But relying on Chris Paul and just Booker and Ayton, they need that fourth guy off the bench because the Bucks can score. I mean, Giannis can get down there 40 the rest of this series. Chris can get 20 to 22 points. Drew can get you 16 and 8 and D. So it's like, and they still have, Brooke Lopez who can go for 30 any game. You know what I'm saying? Randomly. And next thing you know, the series is tied or you're down one. I
Hmm.
think they have to have Cam Johnson more involved if they want to really put a foot down on the Bucks and say, okay, we feel confident. We got the rotational players, but if they can't get Cam involved, I think they're screwed, man. Like more involved because yeah, he does get his points, but it seems like it's not really down the stretch like that. It seems like if they're down, they try to go through Booker. It's all or Chris Paul. It's like they don't get the other guys involved. Jay Crowder.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? He needs to be more aggressive, going to the basket. He's shooting weight. Even though he made a lot of threes, he needs to go. They need to get to the free throw line. They
Yeah, I
have to
think
get to the free throw line. I mean, they got to slow the game down. They have to slow the game down and, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, like my biggest takeaway for the Suns, is I still think they'll be fine for game four. I think this, I still have the Suns winning in six. So I'm kind of opposite of you right now. I think the biggest thing for me is going to make sure that I don't think you need you don't need Chris Paul to be scoring 20. I honestly think he's fine scoring 17 to 18. The
Who is
biggest
that?
thing,
Booker, you say?
not Booker. Chris Paul. Like
Oh, Chris. Yeah.
I think Chris Paul is fine with the 17 to 18. I just think
Oh, yeah.
Booker has to score at least 30 points, and for a guy that's his only role on the team is to be the scorer. I don't think that that's hard to do, especially with the way that they run the offense for him. I think that is kind of where they need to go towards. And I just think they need to get Aiton more involved, especially in the low post. Understand like this is a different team now. Like you're not playing
Mm-hmm.
a Clipperless like Serge Ibaka. You're playing with Giannis. You're playing with Brook Lopez.
Hmm.
And really, besides the fast start for Ayton, I just felt like they haven't really gotten him involved as much as I would like. And maybe just running a little bit more Spanish pick and rolls um, with him, and maybe get Crowder in there. Like I think I get what you mean by like Crowder need to drive in the lane more, but I just think this is Crowder's game now. It's to be an outside stretch shooter. Um,
Yeah, but if you remember in Boston, he used to drive a lot too. He shot some threes, but he didn't shoot as many as he does with the Suns, man. Because sometimes he kills them. It seems like because he'll be too aggressive, and next thing you know, the Bucks are rebounded. Then they score six. They go on a 6-0 run.
yeah,
I just think they need ball movement. Like it doesn't matter. Booker scores 18 points a game. But I'd rather have players score 18, 15, 16 in defense and get back in transition than just Booker going off and then the other guys not playing D. Like, you're not going to win like that. Like, you have to have ball movement.
yeah.
Like game one and game two, they played great because it was a lot of ball movement. The ball was swinging. That ball was swinging game two. Game three, you can forget about that. There was nothing swinging. There they didn't even look like the same team. They looked like a different team, like a different identity.
Mm.
It was crazy.
Yeah, I think obviously you got the huge points from McCall Bridges the last game, and for this game, 2 of 4, 0 of 2 from 3-point land. It's just kind of one of those things you're looking at it and you're just wondering like how do you not get more involved in the game? I mean, I know defensively he's probably more so. I think he was locking up Giannis most of the time, but or maybe Middleton. I can't remember if he's with Middleton or Giannis at times, but he didn't really do anything offensively, and that's also another guy that you have to get buckets to kind of relieve the pressure from guys like Booker. And really Booker and Ayton at times, or even Chris Paul to an extent. I just feel like they didn't really use him very well today. Um, and I
But you
think
gotta you have sorry to cut you off. Oh no, go ahead, go ahead.
no. All I was gonna say is that like my biggest takeaway from today's game is that I think they need to get him a little bit more involved, and they just need Booker to hit shots, man. I know that this is kind of a basic analysis at times, but to me it just felt like they needed to get Booker, or maybe he just wasn't hitting any shots today. I don't know. Oh, I think we lost him.
Hello.
You back?
Yeah, I'm back. I'm back.
All
I
right.
just disconnected.
So what were you gonna say?
Oh no, I was just gonna say, also you have to take into consideration too. Monty Williams, he doesn't come from a big, background of winning. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Budenholzer, as much as he was messing up, he does come from that Greg Popovich tree, and some of the players on his assistant, level of coaches have, they have real deep playoff experience from being under Pop.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You can look at the players, but it also comes down to the coaching as well, because I know Monty Williams is a real good coach. He can get in their head, but that's at home. Let's see how he is on the road when it's adversity. You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
haven't faced none of that. He hasn't faced none of that. It sounds all good on the soundtrack when they're on, ABC, and he's making them feel comfortable, but that's in Phoenix. They're in
Right.
Milwaukee now. They're not at home. They're not in their beds. They're not around their families. This is a real test right here.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you in that sense. The Phoenix Suns are going to have to step up in Game 4, and we'll see what happens in that game. I think the biggest question mark I said for me is, one, how will Booker respond, and two, what is Chris Paul, left doing in that game? Are they going to try to just let him just kind of shoot his mid range jumpers? It wasn't too bad today. Wasn't particularly great. Wasn't particularly bad. Just kind of average, I would say, in this game. And so the biggest question mark for me is going to be, how do those two guys, both Booker and Paul, respond, especially after playing such an amazing first two games And really, the question mark for me is going to be how do they get some of the other guys involved? Like, how does Aiton, not get into foul trouble against a guy like Giannis? How does guys like
Hmm.
Cameron Payne respond after going 3 for 10 tonight? Only 7 points. Giving you a
Yeah,
minus
that's
18 on a plus minus. It's not very good.
oh no, that's not good at all. And also Booker, he didn't really get to the free throw line. I know that's real. That's like his specialty is drawing fouls. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Sometimes he could get 10 points off the free throw line
right.
in one night. Like he didn't get to the line at all. Like it was very difficult to draw fouls. Like he was just trying to shoot jumpers. He wasn't trying to get any contact or any of that. Like I think he needs to get more to the free throw line. If he can get more to the free throw line and draw fouls, I think they could be fine. But if he's not getting to the free throw line, slowing the game down, and the Bucks are just up and running, and
Hmm.
Giannis and you know what I'm saying, getting
Yeah,
lobs,
yeah,
like it's gonna be tough for him.
yeah.
Because I'm telling you right now, if they lose this next game, it's everything's fair game now. The Bucks got the upside because they know all they need is one in Phoenix, and they can go home and close them.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is like Milwaukee now has to feel the pressure of they have to win. Like depending on what happens on Wednesday, right? You will see what the result of that game is. But
Hmm.
whether or not they win or lose that game, they have to win a game in Phoenix. And like you said, like if the momentum starts to shift over now towards the Bucks, with Giannis and Budenholzer finally adjusting and making different coaching adjustments to actually getting Giannis into better scoring positions and to getting Drew Holiday maybe in better scoring positions. Um, Really, this game I would say it's kind of a weird thing because like I thought the Bucks really played better when they had Bobby Portis in the game rather than uh, trying to have Connington and Brook Lopez in there. I know Connington played 30 minutes, but I thought the very important stretch for the Bucks that led to that big run was the
Hmm.
18 was the huge 18 minutes that Bobby Portis got in that
Oh
game.
yeah, absolutely,
And
absolutely.
it boggles my mind as to why Coach Budenholzer doesn't play this guy a lot more. I feel like he is honestly, for whatever reason, whether it is against the Hawks or the Nets, I just feel like whenever I
He
see him in the game a lot more than I do
uh,
these other guys, who are kind of like being like another guy on the rotation that gets about like 15 plus minutes. He does some things out there for you.
Yeah, man, he's like the Draymond Green for the Bucks. Like, I don't understand why Budenholzer is giving him DMPs. Like, he's you guys' energy, not PJ Tucker. It's Bobby Portis. You put him on the floor, you guys are getting a spark with just his energy. That's what Giannis needs. He needs energy. He needs energy around him. When he didn't play the last game, there was no energy. They need, you know what I'm saying? Just like how Draymond Green is with the Warriors. He's the engine.
Yeah, definitely.
He needs to play. I don't care if it's 15 minutes. Put him on the floor. I mean, he's not gonna hurt you. He helped you tonight. I like they need to play. I would start him for the rest of this series. I wouldn't start him, but I would make him play. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't give him no DNPs. Like that's absurd.
Yeah, I think the thing for me, like when I notice games, especially in the Hawks series, like Bobby Portis would have games where he would play whether it was like 5 minutes, and then there was other games where he played 15. And obviously, when he has the games where it's 15, it's like that dude is special. Um, and
Really? Oh.
and he's. I feel like I just feel like whenever he's like impacting the court with his minutes, I feel like he does a lot of great things out there. And to not kind of go circle around to the same point.
Mhm.
But what I will say is that I kind of liked Giannis at the five tonight. Take Brook Lopez out, play Giannis at the five, post him up because he's
Faster.
because he looks to me like you said faster, but also he reminds me of like Shaq in the 2000s where he's like actually
Yeah,
where
he did.
where it's like I feel like he's very impossible to guard. Like whether it was Aiden, whether it was Crowder, whether it was Cam Johnson. Cam Johnson got the wind knocked out of him just trying to guard him in the post. Like
Yeah,
like to me, like getting him involved low in the post. Like yes, the post game isn't what it once was, but you can
but
see how
he's
effective it
dominant.
can be when it's done the right way. Like yes, Drew Holiday hit some crazy shots tonight,
Hmm.
and Connaughton hit some corner threes tonight. Middleton kind of did okay tonight. I thought Middleton could have played a little bit better, in my opinion. But Nevertheless, you got some key buckets from key guys. And really, the recipe for the Bucks is just to feed Giannis down low, let him go to work. And Giannis tonight was 13 to 17 from the free throw line. Like, that is not bad.
Yeah, it's really not. I mean, if they can get Giannis keep starting at the 5, their chances go from 50 to 75% of winning this series, I think, because
Mm-hmm.
there's nobody that can stop him. I mean, there was nobody that could stop him before, but Brook Lopez is just too slow in the paint against Ayton. Giannis is more scrappier. Ayton's not used to that. The first 2 games, they had slow Brook Lopez in the paint against him. So that's why he was dominating, getting boards,
Yeah.
getting fouled, getting 3-point. You know what I'm saying? Like Giannis, they can play faster. And they can do more of they can do more pick and rolls. Like it's and Drew Holiday can play his real game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just
Um
know what we're gonna say.
oh no, go ahead. I was just saying, they should really consider playing him at the 5 for the rest of this series because I mean it's evident it's working. I mean, at
Yeah.
least for this 3rd game, but
Yeah, and I think it would take Aiden out of his game as well. Aiden today went 8 of 11. Wasn't a bad stat line for him. 18 points. You probably want to get 25 points from him, but he was in foul trouble most of the time. And so I think like if you put Giannis on him, especially going at the 5, I think that would be a recipe for success for the Bucks because they would get that guy in foul trouble, get him out the game, and then now it's like who do you guard Giannis with? Do you guard him with Kaminsky? He's too slow. You guard him with
Mhm.
guys like Payne or Johnson or Crowder. They're too small. And I think that leads to more mismatches. Like, yeah, you can still play Brook Lopez, but you just have to make sure that when Giannis is down low, you just can't drive into the lane. And that's
Yeah,
where
you really can't.
I feel like sometimes I felt like the Bucks kind of got lost in those plays. Was like when they drove and Giannis was still in the low block. It just congested everything. The spacing wasn't right, and that's what kind of led to some of the turnovers in that game.
Yeah, because if they can keep him at the 5, it seems like Drew Holiday feels way more comfortable. You know what I'm saying? Because it's
Yeah.
like, because Drew Holiday is a real good draw. He can draw fouls and he can also get to the cup. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like stop and jerk and see if I could, because you got to watch for Giannis on the lob. Because
Mm-hmm.
if you're not watching Giannis on the lob, it's going to be a rough night.
Yeah.
Or, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, if they all they have to do is keep having him at the 5 and just see what happens. I mean, it worked game 3, so I mean, Ayton can't stop him. Ayton's not really a defensive player like a DeAndre Jordan. You know what I'm saying? He's more of
Mm-hmm.
a scoring center. He can
Yeah.
hit some jump shots, little 15-footers. You know what I'm saying? But he's not like a big guy in the paint, like a Shaq, like you don't want to go against, like who will just block your shots all day.
Yeah. Exactly. Um, and yeah, I think we kind of covered everything for the NBA Finals as for Game 3 at least. We got Game 4 going Wednesday. I'm assuming you have the Bucks in that game.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Uh, I'll go with the Suns in that game just because
Ooh, okay.
I think the Suns will respond a little bit better, and really try to maybe run some more things to get Booker, some better looks and opportunities. And like you said, maybe attack the cup a little bit more and not rely so much on the jump shot. Because, when you rely on the jump shot too much, there might be games like tonight where you're just cold and just can't hit anything.
Yeah, that's true. But also, man, like Milwaukee's a tough place to play. Like
It is. The Deer
it's
District is
it's
crazy.
yeah, the Dare District, it gets rowdy in there, man. And like they haven't faced nobody like that. The only team they faced that was kind of who did they play in the first round?
Who,
They
the Suns?
Yeah, the Suns.
They
They
played
didn't
the
really.
Lakers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They did play the Lakers, but the Lakers didn't really have any like fans like that. It was like still trying to get back to normal, and California was like, real strict on fans. The Clippers were like, okay, then they didn't have Kawhi, but this team and their fans, like, they're full capacity. They're rocking.
Yeah. So, we'll see what happens for game number 4. If you guys are listening into the channel, whether you're watching it now or watching it later, let us know in the comment section down below. Who do you guys have winning game number 4? Are you having the Phoenix Suns, or are you going to go with Milwaukee winning a second straight game, and maybe Giannis goes back to back to back with 40-point games? So Tyrese, I know I'm not sure if you caught me and my boy Pete's stream a couple days ago about the mock draft.
I didn't. I was out I think I was out and having dinner or something like that.
Yeah. So, we kind of talked about our mock drafts, but really the important things from those are just trades and things that were happening. So we talked about a little bit about Ben Simmons, but a team that is in the top 4 that could be potentially trading a player is actually the Cleveland Cavaliers with Colin Sexton. According to Jason Lloyd of The Athletic, Colin Sexton is reportedly very available, whatever those kind of words mean. I feel like they always kind of do like,
Yeah.
there was like another one, like there was like very agreeable, something like that, where it's like very agreeable that those guys were on the table. So, Colin Sexton has been in the league for a little bit. He's kind of known for his bull defense, young bull defense.
I like him a lot.
What do you make of him? And, I know I'm not sure if you've watched a lot of the guys that are kind of coming up in this year's draft. But if you're the Cavaliers, what do you do in that spot?
I mean, if I'm the Cavaliers, if I'm Kobe, what's his name? The general manager, what's his name? Kobe
Altman, I think.
Yeah, Kobe Altman. If I'm him, I mean, you got to move him. I mean, you guys aren't in no contention. You guys aren't a free agent destination. I mean, unless LeBron James comes back to that door, I mean, you're not attracting anybody. And as far as Colin Sexton goes, any team that's trying to contend right now should go after, because that guy's a bucket. He's fearless. He can play defense. Like, this might sound biased, but I think we should go after him, the Celtics. I think he would be really good.
Do you think so? You think he'd be a good fit for us?
Oh, yeah, I really do. I mean, he's not a pass first, but he's just fearless. And I think with Brown and Tatum, I think it would just bring out more dog in him. You know what I'm saying? Because he's a dog, man. He's a dog. There's not too many point guards that are dogs. Yeah, like, he's a young dog.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. I look at him and I think I want to say that it's kind of empty calories for me for Colin Sexton with the offense. I just think that playing on a really bad Cavaliers team with no sense of direction of where they want to go. I think it's hard for me to justify like seeing his stats and being like, yeah, that's the guy I'm going to get in Boston or whatever team he gets traded to. But if I'm the Cavaliers, I'm looking to build with him. I know that they have him. They have Darius Garland. I'm trying to think who else they have. They have Cedi Osman. They have basically a bunch of like random misfit toys, basically, for a roster. And my question for me is going to be like, I think in that draft I had them taking Evan Mobley, just because I think that
the center from USC, I think isn't he from? Yeah.
But I know that depending on what the Houston Rockets do, there's rumors that they might take Evan Mobley and they'll end up with Jalen Green. So if you're the Cavaliers and you were able to choose between those two guys, like who would you want?
I mean, isn't Jarrett Allen a free agent?
I believe so. Yeah.
I mean, if they don't match his contract, I mean, that's tough, man. Because you need a point guard. Like, if you don't, I mean, you can get a center. They have centers all day. I would just hold on to him. I wouldn't be crazy trying to go for Evan Mobley. I mean, he's not going to be like no Anthony Davis or anything like that. So it's like, what are you really missing?
Right.
There's a lot of great centers. There's Nerlens Noel, who's a free agent. Like, I wouldn't trade him just to move up. You know what I'm saying? And try to get Evan Mobley.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I think Colin Sexton, going back to what you said, like he wasn't as good as you think because he was on a team. I mean, the guy's a bucket, man. He was going against some great teams, going down to the wire, like against the Nets, like shooting over KD, like drawing fouls, like, and he's super young. So imagine if he can be with a good organization like the Knicks, like a up and coming organization who has good rotational players, a veteran head coach with
Mhm.
structure who can teach him that. I think he can blossom into a top 10 point guard one day.
Wow, that's some high praise there from
Yeah.
Tyrese. Going top 10 point guard for Colin Sexton.
Yeah, I honestly do. And you know what I'm saying? Because he has the dog, man. Like he he has that dog in him. He has that fear, like, he's fearless. Like he's gonna go at you. He doesn't care who you are. He's either gonna shoot on you or he's gonna draw a foul on you.
Yeah,
I mean, you know what I'm saying? Because there was a lot of guys who put up empty stats, but some games I watched some Cav games, like they were competitive against some of these good teams, man. And he was one of the main guys, like giving it to these good teams. He's a good player.
yeah. I mean, it'll be interesting to see like who will trade for him. Like I said, like if I'm the Cavaliers, I would still keep him. And
He's
I would honestly draft Jalen Green. I think Jalen Green would be like, I know he's has a lot of comparisons to kind of just like a high flying young Michael Jordan in terms of
mhm,
like his leaping ability, has bunnies for days. I just see him and Colin Sexton probably getting along a lot better than a guy like Darius Garland.
mhm,
Where I feel like Darius Garland is like a nice player. He's just not like a player that you want to build something around. Where I feel like Colin Sexton, you may have something there as like a number 2 or number 3 guy, and I just think you have to re-sign Jared Allen to whatever he wants because I like Jared Allen. I think he's a really good center for that team, and then of course you have Larry Nance Jr. who maybe or actually I'm not sure if he's on that team now. I think he might be still,
mhm.
but
Yeah,
I
I think
think
he is.
I think I like that team. The one person I wish that would play a lot better is Teddy Osman. I feel like he's been kind of stagnant for his whole career, which is kind of sad because I really liked him when, especially in a
With LeBron.
with LeBron and just kind of like in like Cleveland Cavaliers team. I thought he was going to be something, but we'll see what happens. But I don't know, man. I think Colin Sexton. I think he's just there to stay in Cleveland. And now the
You think
question,
so? I think he's gonna bounce, man. Once his contract's up, they have to. If they don't trade him, they're getting nothing for him. So it's like he knows his value. The guy's averaged what 25 points a game last year,
yeah,
and the first year I think he averaged like what 17 points a game. Like he knows he has value. There's a
hmm
lot of teams out there that need a feisty point guard, young and built with the organization. Like let's just be real, the Cleveland Cavaliers, they're nobody's not trying to go to Cleveland. You know what I'm saying? Like to win it to try to contend. They it's not an ideal destination unless LeBron James is going there. I mean, why are you keeping him? I mean, he's gonna leave. I mean, you guys aren't. They're not gonna win a championship no time soon. So it's like he's just gonna waste his years, and I think he's gonna know that. And if they don't trade him, they're gonna get nothing for him. So I think they're gonna move him.
yeah. I mean, I could see that, but at the same time, I think that they're gonna try. Cleveland is gonna try to just build their team through the draft, which is the smart thing to do. Especially with these lower market teams, that's kind of the way
Oh
that you
yeah.
have to do it. And so
Yep.
I think that they're gonna try and keep him. They're gonna try to sign him to like that extension, um, that max contract extension. And I think they're just gonna give it to
Oh yeah, they're gonna throw everything to him because that's the best player they had that they drafted probably since who Wiggins
him. Wiggins,
the
yeah,
last 10 years, other than LeBron James or
maybe
Kyrie
Kyrie,
Irving.
yeah,
Yeah, but they're gonna throw everything. But money isn't everything either. Like
right,
there's a lot of you can throw a $225 million contract at him, but he's gonna be stuck for 7 years not winning nothing. When he can take 140 and possibly get to a conference finals or the
yeah,
second round. So it's like, I'm still young. I can get three more max contracts. Like I'm not really,
right.
he's not, it doesn't really mean that much. That's why even like Kawhi Leonard, he didn't re-sign with the Raptors because the money doesn't mean anything. Like they got money. They're
Yeah.
gonna get a couple more max deals.
Yeah, so I mean, I think the biggest question mark for me is going to be like what, there's a lot of moves reported. We have Colin Sexton maybe on the move. We also have Ben Simmons, and maybe that's the last thing we'll kind of end the stream on is kind of the Ben Simmons debate.
Hmm.
Ben Simmons, he's kind of been the biggest name and kind of the biggest, really the biggest name in the trade rumors just because of
Yeah.
obviously the piss poor, or I would say what was it, the Eastern Conference playoffs. Basically, I'll just call it that. So he's been really piss poor. Maybe not piss poor, but he hasn't been as good as a lot of people thought he would be. And so if you are Ben Simmons, or if you're a team, like what team wants Ben Simmons? Like, and I'll leave it to you to kind of answer that. Like, what team could want Ben Simmons?
The one team I think that can possibly want Ben Simmons is the San Antonio Spurs,
Okay,
just because of Greg Popovich and the whole structural, coaching and just him as a coach and molding players and developing. Another team is another team I can see possibly trading for him is the Lakers.
the Lakers. Okay,
Yeah, I mean he's a point guard. I mean imagine him, LeBron and AD. Size, what you know what I'm saying? He could develop his jump shot with LeBron. They'll be in the gym all summer. You know what I'm saying? That's his role
okay,
model anyway. I can see that happening because they wouldn't have to give up a farm for him like Damian Lillard. You see what I'm saying?
yeah.
And he's a
What
pass first point guard with defense.
what was your what's your reasoning for the Spurs? I'm actually
The
curious
reasoning
about
for
the
the Spurs
Spurs.
is just Greg Popovich and the whole front, the organization and
Yeah,
how they were with players and point guards with Manu and guard players like Tony.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying? I think that would be a real good place for him to develop. And Greg Popovich's last years with the Spurs, just because I think 5 years from now, if he was with the Spurs for the next 5 years, I think Ben Simmons could possibly be, a top five point guard.
oh wow, got on
He
that.
just needs structure, man. Like Brett Brown, that's Joel Embiid's team.
Yeah,
Like, let's
always,
just be
always
real.
has been.
That's Joel Embiid's team. Like
Always has been, man.
oh yeah, like he just he needs a fresh start. With a head coach or a big player like LeBron James to just pull him aside and just kind of not like baby him and like tell him what to do, but like I've been around great players and like you're going to be a really good player. You just got to work on your craft and lock in. I feel like nobody was telling that on the Sixers. They were just kind of like saying it just to say it in a way. And I think
Yeah.
he probably noticed that, but I think those are the only two teams that he could possibly be, good on and redeem himself as, or, we can see him as a good player is those two teams.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I noticed with Ben Simmons is that, the market, I know that the 76ers projected a trade with Malcolm Brogdon and I believe 2 first-round picks, if I'm
Mm-hmm.
not mistaken. And so it's kind of one of those things you look at it and you're like, what do these other teams have to offer? I know Kuzma could be a person you trade, and just depend on what else you could add to that value for Ben Simmons. Because, I think the 76ers are going to they're gonna want to ask too much for a guy like Ben Simmons. Where I feel like Ben Simmons this
Because he
year,
has too much upside.
but how long does that upside last? Do you think is it gonna be
I
like because
mean, I
Brandon
mean, he's,
Ingram?
the guy's 6'10". He's only 25 years of age. I mean, he can be. Look at Kyle Lowry. I mean, he could last another 10 years, easy.
Yeah, I mean I have
I
no
mean,
doubt.
the upside is there.
Yeah, I mean like I have no doubt with Ben Simmons I have no doubt with Ben Simmons lasting in that league. My only question for me, and it's kind of been my question mark for him this whole time, ever since he got into the league, was just how can he improve his shooting? And I know that's kind of like the biggest question mark for him. I think it's kind of the obvious glare in his game. But it's more so like actually taking the shots for me is where it really frustrates me because I will say like I viewed Ben Simmons as kind of like a I would kind of almost I thought he was going to be like Magic Johnson in a way where it was like six
Oh yeah,
ten,
I did too.
wasn't going to necessarily be like the best shooter in the world, but can at least he can at least take those shots to at least let the defense kind of stretch the floor out to actually guard him instead of playing so far back in the coverage. Um,
Mm-hmm.
where, where I feel like Ben Simmons is now throughout his whole career has just been at the dunker spot or AKA like the short corner for his whole life, and it's just kind of one of those things like. Now that he's kind of done this for 4 years, is it too little, too late to get him to learn it's never too late to shoot the ball because obviously we saw LeBron James do that. But
Mm-hmm.
the biggest question mark for me was more so like, is it too late for him to change the mentality because he's been, kind of a I don't want to shoot it or like it'll ruin my percentage or B it's not what the team needs. Where I feel like it should be the opposite. It is what the team needs. They need you to shoot. They don't need you to not shoot.
I think that's just it's never really been his game. Like for him to be a shooter, he's even when he was at that high school Montreval, whatever it's called, like he wasn't even a shooter. He was always a slasher.
Yeah.
He was like Jaylen Brown. Jaylen Brown and him were identical. They can get up, they can race up the court, dunk on you, nice passes, athletic, but he's never really been a shooter like that. I think he won't be a great shooter, but people respect him to, guard him on a wide
Yeah.
open jumper or a 3-point shot. But he's gonna have to practice on that. You know what I'm saying? That's not his game, but he doesn't have to make that his game. He just has to practice on it to at least be respected on, I mean, they're leaving him wide open, like fouling him, hacking him, sending him to the line. Like it could also be a red flag too for a lot of teams and trying to trade for him because it's like there's reports how he doesn't listen. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't have time for that. You know what I'm saying? They're getting him because they think he has a high floor. I mean, a high ceiling, and they don't. He just needs a head coach like Greg.
Yeah.
If he can land with the Spurs, I think he can really turn himself around.
Yeah.
But if he's trying to go to like if he's in Philly still or they try to trade him to like the Raptors or somewhere, he's not gonna change. He's just gonna be the same thing.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I think this is kind of the Ben Simmons that we're gonna get from here on out. Not saying that he's a bad player, but it definitely hinders the team from going further than what they expect. Like I think you just can't have Simmons as a number 2. It looks like Simmons has to kind of be a role player.
Yep.
Basically, almost like a glorified role player at times, because I feel like that's kind of is the way that he needs to play in order to get it going.
He's almost to where it's like he can pretty much just come off the bench because it's like he's not giving you any jump shots. Teams are hacking him. It's like he's damn there almost like he's going towards a bench player.
Yeah.
Because I mean, you can't really play him in key moments in a game. You know what I'm saying? When you're down 4 or 5 points, because if he has the ball in his hands, they're just gonna foul him.
Yeah, exactly.
They're just gonna hack him, and that can cost you the game.
See, we got someone in the chat. Cardinal, hey Cardinal, how's it going, man? Hopefully you're doing well.
How's it going, Cardinal?
Hopefully you're doing well on a Sunday afternoon. Just kind of wrapping the stream up in a little bit. The other question I had for you, Tyrese, me and my boy P, we're gonna do a live stream on the NBA draft on the 29th. You're more than welcome to kind of join our stream and talk some NBA draft as it's happening.
Awesome.
A question that Pete had for me, and I want to ask you is, which guy in this NBA draft do you think will have the best career?
The best career? Oh wow. I don't know, man, because it's tough for me to say because I haven't really there hasn't really been any eye catchers to me in this draft. I mean, yeah, you got Jalen Green, you got Cade Cunningham, but it's not like the draft where Jason Tatum was in there. You know what I'm saying? Like you had who else was in that draft? It was a few other players. Like I don't know. I haven't really looked into this draft class. I'm not gonna lie, but Jalen Green, I've seen some of his highlights. He's from the Fresno area.
Yeah.
He has real good bounce. You know what I'm saying? But to me, the guy who I have coming out of college or high school is Amani Bates. Like that's the kid I think is just gonna be all world. You know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
he's just gonna be fantastic. But I haven't really been kept keeping up with this draft like that. There hasn't really been no eye catchers for me.
Okay.
Like Cade, he did okay. He did okay, but I just don't know why so many like scouts are gassing him up. Like he's a good player, decent, but is he better than Jason Tatum was at Duke? No. Was he better than, you know what I'm saying? Was he better than a lot of these other players? Not really.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, he had a good PPG, but I mean, he was the only guy.
I think the biggest thing for that is that they kind of view him as kind of similar to like LaMelo Ball, like a 6'8", 6'7" point guard with the ability to rebound, the ability to pass the rock. Like has very great decision making, and
Mm-hmm.
that's kind of the reason why I think Cade is getting hyped up a lot. I think that there's obviously a lot of guys in this draft. Like me and my boy P, we did our mock draft a couple days ago. Just kind of going back and forth between each other.
Mm-hmm.
But there's Kate Cunningham is obviously on the board. You got Evan Mobley. A lot of people like him. I think Jalen Suggs could potentially have a really special career, man. Especially if he ends up going to the Toronto Raptors, where it's predicted he will go. I think he's going to
Oh
be.
yeah.
I think he's going to be special, man.
Oh yeah. Jalen Suggs, he played for Villanova, didn't he?
No, he played for Gonzaga.
Oh yeah, Gonzaga. Yeah, he was really good, man. He was really good. Yeah, if the Raptors can get him, that would be a great addition because they develop players really good over there in Toronto.
Yeah, I think under Nick Nurse, I think he'll play really well. So we'll see
It,
what
it
happens, man.
it just seems like though in college basketball, it seems like whoever has the highest PPG, it seems like they're always the number one pick. If they play for a Division 1 school and it's kind of like well known, it seems like I don't know, man. Like even going back to Markel Fultz, like he was the highest PPG for like D1, I think, and he went number one. And then it was somebody else before that. Like there's players below that average lower, and they're better. Like for example, Jason Tatum, like he didn't average 20, but he was better than all those players. I don't know, man. I think they I don't know. I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see, but I'm not. I don't get too crazy over the draft like that,
Okay.
unless it's like a player, that's you can tell he's gonna be a superstar. Like, but yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like the biggest. That's kind of the biggest question mark is obviously the draft. Who's going to be, the number one guy, who's going to, kind of be in there. So we're going to find out uh, relatively
Right.
towards when the draft actually happens. What teams are going towards, what teams are looking at.
Hmm.
But nevertheless, Tyrese, thank you once again for joining me here on the charge.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for kind of talking some NBA finals with me. I know I've been kind of MIA on the finals, and I was finally glad I was able to catch this one and kind of talk about it because it was a very special one. With
Hmm.
the fact that the Bucks just came out and gave a virtuoso performance. Giannis played absolutely out of his gourd. Giving you that 41 points. So we'll see what happens, man. And before we get
Yeah.
going, guys, please remember that there is a Charge merch store. If you guys are interested in buying merch, we have merch, and there's also a donation link if you guys are interested in donating to the channel. Before we get going, Tyrese, is there anything that you want to say, man?
That would be it, man. Let's see what the Bucks can do on Wednesday. But I have a strong feeling, man. They're gonna pull through. But we'll see. It's gonna
Yeah,
be a great game, though.
Yeah, we'll definitely find out what the situation will be for the Milwaukee Bucks as they move more towards the NBA Finals on Wednesday. But again, guys, thank you once again for joining me here on The Charge, giving the latest NBA news and rumors and also basketball opinions. Guys, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. The more likes, the more subscribes, the more people are going to be tuning into this channel. Like I said, I want to get more guys on the show, want to get more guys live in the chat. So if you guys do know anybody that's basketball fans or anybody that is interested in talking NBA, NCAA. Hell, I'll even talk FIBA basketball. I watched some U19 today, man. It was fun to watch. Watching
Yeah, it looked real interesting.
Watched that U19 team against France tonight. I thought that was a really good game. I forgot to talk about that, so I'll probably talk about that probably in a later stream this week. Not sure when that'll be, but I'll let you guys know via the chat. But anyway, guys, like I said, my name is Bernie. Tyrese, thank you once again for joining.
No problem.
And like I said, guys, there is a merch store if you guys are interested in the merch. Donation link as well if you guys are interested in that. But anyway, enough of me kind of doing the self-promotion. Please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe, and we'll catch you guys